Hello and welcome to Aligned Future with me, Fiona Ellis, coach, author, mentor, trainer, shaman, hippie, and a whole bunch of other things you'll find out along the way. And we're here to share everything I know about human behavior from a spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical wellness perspective, or as I like to call it, how to be a human 101, so that you can begin to cut through all the noise out there and find your way back to your truest source of wisdom and ultimate guru, yourself. As always, this podcast is just for entertainment purposes. And although I will aim to be entertaining, inspiring, and give source credit where I can, please take any of my suggestions with a grain of salt, assume everything is made up, and go do your own further research. In today's episode, we are going to be looking at designing your ideal average day. I got to say, trying to decide what I wanted to teach you in your first episode was a lot of pressure. There are so many topics and tools that I'm excited to share with you over the coming months. But I decided on this one because it was one of the most life-changing and powerful exercises that I have used personally to realign my own life and used with every client for years. So definitely a great place to start. Designing your ideal average day incorporates a range of different NLP, law of attraction, goal setting, and values elicitation principles into one simple yet powerful activity. Warning, this can have a profound and life-altering impact on health, relationships, career, so proceed with caution. It certainly changed the trajectory of all of mine. Do you realize that most people spend more time planning a holiday than they do planning their life? For many people, they've gone through life not consciously choosing where they want to be or what they want to do, but more as a series of decisions to follow what they should be doing according to what someone else says is important, or to get away from something they didn't like about their past, or just spontaneously reacting to whatever circumstances show up. This means that we can end up with a life so far off track from where we thought we would be that we almost don't recognize it or ourselves anymore. And that's what kind of happened to me. It seems so obvious when we think about it, but let's pause for a moment and reflect back on your life. How did you get here? Even some people who are great at goal setting and achieving can end up way off track if these goals are based on the priorities of somebody else. I set a goal to go to uni. I didn't know what I wanted to do or study, but I was just taught that it was important to go to uni. So I did. This exercise is not just figuring out what is important in life, but connecting to what is important to you. When I'm working with clients, they come to me asking questions like, what should I do for a career? How should I market my business? Should I stay in this relationship? Should I take this opportunity? What should I do to improve my wealth or health or social life? They're often asking questions and seeking answers about what they should do. And I always say the same thing. I don't know. Until I know what your ideal average day looks like, I need to know what your end game is before I can help you get there. There are thousands of different business models, loads of different jobs, locations you could live, activities you could do, relationships you could get into. None of them are right for everybody, and all of them will work for someone. So until we take the time to figure out what your ideal day is, what your end game is, we can't know yet which combination of those is going to be right for you. And that is why the ideal average day exercise is so important. For me, when I first did this, I was way off track. From the outside, I looked successful. I had a great apartment in South Bank. I had Prada handbags, an Audi convertible. I had all these things that outwardly looked like success, but internally I was so miserable. I was so unhappy, so mentally and physically unhealthy, but I couldn't quite figure out why. When I stopped and did this exercise, it became so blatantly obvious to me though. The questions are things like, what activities would you like to do in a day? What brings you joy? What makes you happy? And for me, those answers were spending time with my family, playing music, going to the beach, being in nature. but I was living on the 29th floor in a high-rise apartment in Melbourne South Bank, concrete jungle, on the other side of the country from my family. And if you've ever been to Melbourne and seen what they call a beach, no. I've visited almost every beach in the west, south, and east coast of Australia and can categorically say Melbourne do not have good beaches. West side, best side. When I got clear on what was important to me, nature, beaches, my family, and then I compared that to the life I was living, they were so far apart, like literally, it suddenly made sense why I was unhappy. Now, you may hear my dog Daisy barking and scratching around in the background occasionally. Now, she was one of the catalysts that caused me to actually make the change. See, I was very stressed out at the time. I had a lot going on personally. I was also a leader and manager of a sales team and quite an important role in the company. And I remember getting into my office to my boss one day and just saying, I'm so overwhelmed. I've got so much going on and not enough time. And he said, well, why don't you schedule time walking your dog? Why don't you just get a dog walker? I looked at him and went, she's the only thing in my life that's actually right now. She was the only thing at that time that made me happy. We would spend up to 2 hours a day walking around the Botanic Gardens in Melbourne, and that's like the only patch of nature you can get in Melbourne. So I realized again, when I compared it to my true values and what brings me joy and my ideal day, being with my dog was the connection to something I love. She was the family that got me into nature and fresh air and into the gardens. I mean, we used to just lay there and get grass hugs. Hey, if you haven't tried a grass hug, you gotta try grass hugs. So when he said give up that to have more time for the concrete jungle, the pursuit of money, the leading a team, which I'm good at doing, but I don't love doing, that's when I decided, nope. I'm going to keep the aspect that does bring me joy, and I'm going to change everything else. It wasn't long after that I quit my job, moved back to WA to be close to my family, and now I live in a van at the beach almost every morning with my amazing dip pick crewmates. And I'm in nature, I'm in music, I'm dancing, I'm around family and loved ones every single day. And it's just completely reoriented my life around the thing that does bring me joy instead of what society told me I should want. So let that be a bit of a catalyst jumping off point for you as you begin to think about your own ideal average day. So again, just pause for a moment. Look around your life right now. Are you really happy and loving it? Or are you maybe a bit off track? Either way is okay. If you are loving it, then this is a really good exercise to do to document that and make sure that as you go forward into the future, as you get into relationships, as you progress in your career, that you know what brings you joy. And so you stay aligned with those decisions because it's the micro decisions that will get you off track. Not always about the big ones. It's actually more about the little ones. If anyone's played golf, you'll understand this because when you play golf, if you hit a ball at the tee and like a couple of millimeters off in either direction, you can end up hundreds of meters off at the other end of the green. And that's probably why I don't like playing golf. So when you know what you love and you know what is important to you and you know what lights you up, when you are faced with an opportunity, you can much more easily and quickly make a decision yes or no, to accept or reject based on does it align with your ideal average day. Sometimes these days I make decisions so quickly, it takes a while for the other people involved to catch up. However, for me then, and many people, including my clients, because they hadn't consciously thought about their ideal average day, they might be happy and then they might make decisions where they make a little compromise. Like I live for nature, but I'd ended up living in the middle of the city. It was one little compromise at the time, but that's what leads us to make the big compromises in the end and being way off track and hello midlife crisis. So if you're looking at your life right now and you're just like, how did I get here? Nothing about my life seems to make me happy. It all causes me stress. Nothing's working. Why is it all going wrong? Well, chances are you haven't spent enough time getting clear on what you do love, and you spend too much time just reacting or responding or living a life of shoulds based on what everybody else has wanted you to do. Whichever side of the equation you are on, it's time to start getting conscious, getting clear, and really focused on designing, not just accidentally stumbling into your aligned future. And that's kind of where aligned future message comes from. It's about figuring out what you want. And then as the opportunities present themselves, career choices, should I move? Should I build a business? Should I stay with the employer? Should I have this relationship or not? Or should I have children or not? So many shoulds. And once you've done this exercise, you'll be much better suited to making them conscious and really healthy, functional choices to move forward. And it's great. I love doing this with couples. So if you're in a relationship right now, I want you to both do this exercise separately, especially if you're having some problems. Because if you do this exercise separately, oftentimes when my clients bring their ideal average day and they are struggling, we can immediately see where they're off track. Perhaps one of them has a priority of nature and the other has a priority of concrete jungle. You know, it can be obviously different like that, or it can be similar, but maybe oriented slightly different. Like they both like family and they both like career, but one prefers to work in the morning, one prefers to work in the evening. So we just need to readjust a few things and bring them into better alignment. Now, as a relationship coach, I never guarantee any of my clients to stay together because yes, we can make any relationship work, but the question is, should you make it work? The ideal average day exercise is a really good one to understand whether you should make any situation that you're in work. Should you make that job work, that friendship, that relationship, even that location? So do it independently, separately, and then bring them together and compare them. And now, as long as there's some similarities, we can bring them into alignment. And if you're single, do this now. I mean, it's not like you want to make your first date a job interview, but I do actually recommend take some time, put some conscious thought into this at the beginning of your relationship. Because don't you think your relationship deserves at least as much thought as your last holiday? And you know what? It is such a great way of knowing yourself so that you can choose well. Because love is beautiful, but logistics can get in the way. So we're really looking at how do we know ourselves so well and then figure out what we want and then have the courage to design a life around that. How can you know what you want so much? Like I knew I loved Daisy and walking in nature. And because of that, I knew that was the thing that brought me joy. And I had the courage to say no to everything that wasn't that. Now I have a life I love and it's always improving every single day. So let's go into some questions. And who was I even kidding? I am definitely going to go over the 20-minute mark. But I was going to share these in the extended, but I actually think they're important to share publicly and give you some tools now. Although if you are accessing the extended members only area, there's a bonus in there called your ideal average day meditation. And it's a guided visualization where I take you through an activity where we go all the way through to the end of your life and really help you to clarify, design, and call into alignment your ideal average day. Makes it even more powerful. So there should also be some other downloads, and I'll pop these questions in there as well if I can. So I'm going to go through the questions on the podcast. You might need to pause and come back to it. Take your time, listen to it as many times as you need to get the questions clear. But let's begin designing your ideal average day. So let's get into the questions and the structure of how to design your ideal average day. So step one, I guess the easiest way to figure out what you do want is to start to notice what you don't want. So if you already know, like kind of just do a brain dump for this first bit. If you already know there's a couple of things you do want, you know you want to be at the beach, you know you want whatever version of that, dump that down. But if you are finding it easier to look around your life and go, well, I don't want the stress, I don't want the long commute, I don't want this relationship, I don't want this job, write that down. Whatever you're at, just brain dump right now what you can be aware of first. A column for what you do want, a column for what you don't want. Just get it nice and clear now. Just get it out of your head. It's just a matter of just But put it all down on paper, jot it all down on your phone, speak it all out into a recording, whatever it happens to be. Get that first conveyor belt layer off. This is a cool thing about the way the brain works. We're really just going to get deeper and deeper into your unconscious. But your brain works on a bit of a conveyor belt. So sometimes when you ask it to give you something, it's going to give you the first thing, and then you empty that out, and then it fills up again and gives you the second thing, and then you empty that out and you fill up again and you get the third thing. So don't worry about what it is, don't worry if it's very structured or not. Just let your brain pour out what you already know, what's sitting on the top of your head, what you do want and what you don't want. And it's important when we're thinking about your ideal average day, this is not a holiday. This is not one of those special rare occasions where all you do is sit around at the beach and get served, espresso martinis. Although, if that's what you want every single day, that's fine, no judgment. What we're looking for is kind of the 80% of your life day. So always work on the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule. And 80% of your life should kind of go roughly something like this day, with room for 10-20% deviation. So some emergency days, some holidays, sometimes you can't, sometimes you're sick. But on the average, you'd love that the average of your life felt like this. Now, part 2. So do your brain dump, part 1. Step 2 is we're going to go for the feelings first, not what we do. Because anything that we do, anything that we get, anything that we seek, so whether we want the more money, the more job, we're going for what we want to experience as a result of that. Now, emotions, there's a whole recording coming about the emotional spectrum and the emotional scale, but essentially humans operate in a vibration of emotional states. At the top of the scale is things like joy, ecstasy, peace, love. Down the bottom is your stress, your shame, your fear, your anger. So I want you to kind of jot down now, what emotional states do you want to experience on a consistent basis? Again, if you're currently experiencing stress, write down, I don't want stress, and if I don't have stress, then I will have calm, or whatever your version of that is. So I want you to think about it. What are the emotional states? Do you want to wake up feeling calm in the morning? Do you want to have more joy? Joy was my priority. Do you want to have more excitement? Do you want to have peace? What are the emotional states that you would love to, if you could experience these states, love, connection, if you could experience these states every day, you'd freaking love life. Because that's what we're aiming to do. We're really aiming to go, all right, you want to get to the end of your life with 2 very enthusiastic thumbs up. This is how you've lived it. So if you experience these things on a consistent basis, if you can, bonus points, structure these around about what times of days do you want to experience them. So for me, love and connection were really important, and I want it all day, but for me, they were really important in the mornings and in the evenings. They're like my bookend emotions. The mornings were the most important. When I wake up, I want to feel that warm hug, that love, that connection. Only after I feel that warm hug, that love and that connection, then I wanted to feel inspired. So what that meant for me is that I never really have been a morning person. Turns out I'm actually a great morning person. I love mornings. I just didn't want to go to work in the mornings. And I've managed to somehow orient every job that I've ever had. I think I just ran late so many times in one of them. And she's like, you know what, why don't you just start at 10 and work till 6? And I was like, great. If you're running trainings with me, my trainings, it's a push to get me to start at 9. Preferably if it's on my time, it starts at 10. We go 10 till 6, not 9 till 5. So for me, what I realized was it's because first I want to feel connected, then I want to feel inspired, then I want to go to work. I don't want to have to just wake up and rush straight into it. So think about how that kind of works for you as well. Do you actually find that you're way more productive in the morning? So one of the states that you want to experience is this feeling of productive or achievement or significance or success or something like that. Is that something you want to achieve, but you want to do that first in the mornings? Well, that's not my day, but that could be your day. So really feel into that. And then throughout the day, I love feeling that inspiration. So I would take Daisy for a walk. I wanted to feel inspired and I wanted to connect with nature. So what I learned was if I take her for a walk, that gives me my connection to her, connection to self, connection to nature. And if I put a podcast in or something that I'm learning, then I'm getting inspired at the same time. And then that led me to wanting to teach, wanting to share. So I had my whole morning set up around wake up, connect, then do something with her, with nature, with flow, with movement. And then that inspires me. And then when I'm inspired, I want to teach, I want to coach, I want to share, I want to interact with other people. If I'm not inspired, I am like world's biggest introvert. Don't even try to come find me. It's the reason I live in a van. If you can find the van, you can say hello. If you don't know where I live at the moment, I'm sorry, it's a no. So thinking that, what do you want to experience? What do you want to feel? And then step 3, like I did, it's say you've chosen, we'll go with connection, for example. So what are the activities? And you want a range of these. Don't ever limit yourself to just one, because then it becomes an addiction, it becomes a need, and then you can't function without it. Even if it's a functional addiction, which we're going to go into this in future episodes as well, a functional addiction could be going to the gym. It could be drinking green juice. It could be, for me, it's swimming at the beach every morning. But if you can't function without it, if you can't have a good day without it, it's still an addiction, and it's just as toxic as some of the negative addictions. It's like, drugs, alcohol, coffee, all those things. So we don't judge on what they are. What we want to do is give you a range of options. So for me, connection was a really interesting one. Now, when I'm in a relationship, morning hugs, oh yeah. Like my ideal partner kind of needs to want to stay in bed as well. I'm not good with, someone who loves getting out of bed at 4 a.m. I'm really good with someone who loves staying, we like our mornings, we just like them together, But because I'm single, then I learned to get that connection through, whether that's Daisy, through journaling. I do a lot of journaling in the mornings. I've learned now to get my connection needs met through my friends. And for me, I keep having a coffee or some version of hot drink because it replicates the feeling of a warm hug. Could never figure out why it was easy for me to quit coffee when I was in a relationship, but really hard when I was single. And it gives me that connection. It gives me that warm hug feeling. So I don't judge it, I just allow it. So create yourself a range of different lists. If you want to feel inspired, what are a range of different activities and exercises that you can do to achieve that mean at the end of doing them you feel inspired? Is that singing, dancing, connecting in nature, listening to a podcast, listening to learning, creating, drawing? What is it for you? Now, the next part of creating your ideal average day is it must be sustainable. So, where are you getting your money from? What is your value that you are adding to the world, and how are you being valued for it? Because like we learned from nature, everything must have a value or it will go extinct. So what are you doing to receive your value? Now, this could be a job where you receive money, or this could be you are a stay-at-home mum and you receive that being taken care of by a loving partner. Whatever version of that it is for you. Where do you get this cash from? Hey mate, if you want to put in there that you win, millions on the lottery, it's been done. Where do you get your money? Does your effort, your time make you money? Does your body make you money? Are you hands-on in a trade? Does your mind make you money? Does your money make you money? Where do you get that? And also think in their logistics, do you clean your own house? Do you have a cleaner? Do you do your own gardening? Do you have a gardener? So we're getting into the nitty-gritty of this now, and it does take some time to really flesh this out, but think about what's important most to you. What kind of foods are you eating? What kind of activities are you doing throughout your day? What kind of hours are you in productivity mode? What kind of hours are you in flow mode? What are you doing to nourish your health? What are you doing to nourish your relationships? Do you even want them? That's fine. What are you doing to nourish your finances? Think about what kind of time of day do you want to end? Do you want to go out every evening? Do you love shopping and just need to get to the shops every day? Do you want early nights? Do you want late nights? Do you want rigidity and routine? Do you want spontaneity and variety? Do you want adventure? Do you want 80% of your life is just constantly oh, I'm here today and next week I'm over there and next month I'm over there? Whatever it is for you, really put that in there. And as detailed as you can get, the more attention you can put into this, the more effort you can put into cultivating, clarifying what really matters to you, the better this is going to be. Because remember, there's that little part of your brain, it's called the reticular activating system, and it is like an obedient little puppy. Whatever you decide is important, it is going to hunt it down and bring it into your awareness. It's why when you suddenly buy a new car, suddenly they're everywhere, right? But before that, you never saw them anywhere. Whatever you decide is important, your brain will orient, and your universe, what you see, will bring it into your awareness. So the more clear you can get, the more accurately you can figure out what you do want, the greater chance there is of having that happen. Now, I know I'm at the end of my 20 minutes, so we'll have to check out the extended rants for more of this, but I guess the great thing to do, take some time, get really clear on it. Now, if you find that after doing these questions and doing this exercise, you realize you are way off track like I was, that's okay. Don't judge yourself. We're going to go with forgiveness, calm, peace. Don't be ashamed for failing. Be proud that you tried. What I want you to do is just pick one thing. If you know that something you want to experience on a consistent basis is calm and everything in your life is quite stressful, then focus just on every single day making time to make a process of a cup of tea. Or a process of, I use drip filter coffee because it's the time that it takes is my connection, is my calm. Just really find one thing that you can implement now. One thing that you can change now and begin to create that now. Because the one thing I do remember from math at school is anything times by 0 is still 0. So if you don't have anything in your life that brings you joy, you don't have anything in your life that feels good right now, you've got to create one. Create one little aspect of your ideal average day and let that be the tiny little snowball that begin to gather more and more momentum. Create one practice now that you can take forward into tomorrow, next week, next month, and then as that one sustains, create another and another and another. I trust this helps. I trust you found this a little bit valuable. You have to go back and, clarify those questions or join the members only area. There's a link somewhere upside below where we'll have that full extended hypnosis meditation as well and the questionnaire. And let us know how you go. And until we speak, take care of you, take care of others, and take care of the greater good. Enjoy. We'll catch you in the next episode. Bye for now.